Hey Raiders, class of 2024, this is Mrs. Niederklein. I wanted to touch base with you and go over your enrollment for upcoming fall as you enter Frontenac High School. This is not the typical way that we normally do this. I would much rather be with you right now in person, but we are going to do the best that we can. So I know that this video is probably going to be long and boring and worse than anything Mr. Hill would probably put out. So I apologize, but there are quite a few things, sorry, Mr. Hill, there are quite a few things that I want to go over with you so you are prepared for high school, and any questions that you have, let's get those out in the open now. We can Zoom, we can talk, we can go over whatever we need to make sure that you feel that you are fully prepared. So I'm going to be sharing several things with you on this link as well. And the first one is the Enrollment and Planning Guide. And each year, Frontenac High School, we publish out our courses. And I want to walk you through this because this is going to be something that you need to be familiar with. I would not recommend printing this off, especially if you're at home. If you were in class, I would give each of your 8th grade advisory classes a couple copies so that way you guys can share. We're not in that situation right now. So let me go through this with you. So page 1 is the table of contents. That's going to be a lifeline whenever you get to the point of looking at classes and wanting to find out more about them. So that gives everything there. The second part is an introduction letter from me. One thing to remember is just because a course is listed and has a description in this handbook does not mean that it is offered every year at Frontenac High School. Sometimes we offer courses every other year and we make a rotation. The other thing to remember too is we do not have a full-on black-white calendar that students can just pick their classes and decide what they're going to have, 2W or 3B or whatever it is. So once students have made their selections into PowerSchool, then I am able to determine which courses we need more sections of or whatever the cases may be for that. So there is not a physical schedule for you to pick what you're having 2B and 3B. So keep that in mind as well. Page 3 is an important part. This is your graduation requirements. So in 4 years, you'll be graduating, and everyone must earn the 28 credits in order to be considered a Frontenac High School graduate. Those credits are broken down in a specific way. So you need 4 English credits, you need 3 math credits, you need 3 science, 3 social science, and social science, we take American history your junior year, and you take American government your senior year. So having that world history that freshman year is pretty important there. PE and health, career and life planning, 1 full credit of fine arts, career and life planning is a half credit. 1 half credit of speech that can be taken anytime throughout high school, or it could also be the college dual credit speech class that you could take your junior or senior year. And then 12 electives. So any class that you take while at Frontenac High School will go into one of those categories. So if you take 4 math classes, then 3 of those would count towards your math, and the extra 1 would count into the elective category. Now, it is my hope that you take 1 class and you pass a class. Every class that you take, you pass. So you have the potential to earn 32 credits over the next 4 years. It is just fine to have extra credits. So those all go into your grade point average. So make sure that you're passing those and doing well. Page 4 of the booklet includes a sample course plan. Now, just like with any other sample, there are going to be exceptions, there are going to be differences. This is just a general idea for you to look at and start planning. What I think is the best thing to do is start with the end in mind. So where do you want to be in 4 years? What are some things that you're looking at? Are you going to go into a trade school? Are you looking more at a 2-year college, community college, going to a university, a 4-year university after you graduate high school? You're not sure. Or whatever the choices may be at this point in time. So start with the end in mind and work backwards. If you're wanting to go into the medical field or engineering or education, something that would require a 4-year degree, you're going to need to be taking classes that prepare you for that. So you don't want to be taking just the easiest way out right now in high school. So then when you get to college, then it's really, really, really tough. If you are looking at going into the military or trade school, you may not need all of those advanced classes. So those are some things that you need to keep in mind. So refer back to page 4 and look for, as we go through, look for those classes, and so you can see exactly what you need to have. Speaking of going to college, Kansas Board of Regents, they are the governing body throughout the state of Kansas for all of the community colleges and universities. So they have recently updated their requirements for admissions into their program, into their colleges. And I have those here. This will be in effect for you and well established by then. Hopefully it won't change by then. So over here on the left, it is what it has been for quite some time. You don't need to worry about that right now. What you need to worry about are the changes, the new ones. So the 6 colleges, 6 state universities throughout the state of Kansas have different guidelines for students to be accepted into. So Emporia State, Pittsburgh State, Fort Hays State, and Wichita State all have a 21 or higher GPA and a cumulative GPA, 21 or higher on the ACT and a 2.25 GPA. Now, used to, you had to have specific credits and classes. You had to have geometry and chemistry. While those are still a good idea for some fields, it is not a requirement to be accepted. Looking at K-State's ACT is 21, but their cumulative GPA has bumped up to 3.5. Again, units are not specific. KU, I often say KU plays by its own rules. So KU has a GPA expectation of 3.25 and an ACT of 21, or a lower GPA at 3.0 and an ACT of 24. Now, all 6 of these universities require a 2.0 on any classes that you take in high school that are college credit. So later on, when you're a junior or a senior, if you choose to take dual credit college classes, you have to maintain a C average in those. Also, any student who may have the opportunity or desire to go on to college and play sports, whether that be at Division I, Division II, an NAIA, whatever capacity that may be, each of those have specific requirements that students must meet because they are a student athlete. Student comes first there for a reason. So you have specific classes that you have to take in order to be eligible. No one wants to find out their senior year that they've been offered this awesome scholarship to play somewhere and do something, and then just to find out that they didn't take the right classes. So we need to make sure that you and I are having conversations, if that is something that you are interested in, making sure that we have conversations at the beginning and maintain that throughout. Another option is Kansas Scholars Curriculum. And Kansas Scholars Curriculum is a more rigorous curriculum that has a few more classes that students are required to take. If you complete this curriculum, you're considered a completer of the Kansas Scholars Curriculum. Then, at the end of your senior year, I submit ACT and GPA scores, and they look at everyone in the state of Kansas. There are about 10% of the students across the state that graduate with this distinction every year. Of that 10%, they take the top, the highest ACT and GPAs, and they offer them $1,000 renewable scholarships to an in-state, one of those 6 universities in the state of Kansas. So you can be a completer, you can be a scholar, you can be whatever those would be, depending on ACT and 7th semester GPA. That curriculum includes both chemistry and physics, and also includes 4 units of higher level math and 2 units of the same foreign language. We highly recommend that you take the same foreign language and it's consecutive. So you don't take Spanish your freshman year, sit out your sophomore year, and then try to take it again your junior year. No bueno. Doesn't work out very good. Page 8 talks about our pathways that we offer at Frontenac High School. So we have quite a few career and technical education pathways that we offer students. And through these, students could either become, earn a certificate, earn a card for employment, or to go on to education, that sort of thing. So if they are really interested in construction and design, to take as many classes as possible to go all the way through that pathway. Same with health science or manufacturing, however that is. So I know you guys have all been exposed as 8th graders to those different classes that Mrs. Ulepage, Mr. Aiken, Mr. Goody, Mr. Verga, and Miss Brenner all teach. So those are kind of some of the intro level classes that would help you out with that. The rest of this booklet goes on for specific classes. And let me take an opportunity to go through the details of this with you, just so you know how to read each thing. So remember when I talked about the table of contents and whenever you're ready to look for specific classes? Well, the table of contents, it has it divided up by department. So your math classes are going to be in your math department and that sort of thing. So I'm going to start off with business. And so the department is up here. The title of the course, the class name, is right here, Intro to Business. Then directly underneath that, we have the course code. And a lot of colleges utilize the course codes. Let me show you how to read those real quick. Usually if it's in the 1000s, it means 9th grade on up can take it. A 2000 level class would mean sophomores on up. A 3000 level class would be juniors on up, and a 4000 would be seniors only. And as you can see here, now that's how it's supposed to work on most of them, you know. Hopefully I didn't mess any of those up. So you have the course code, how many credits it would be. All of your credits right now are going to be a half credit or a full credit. Half credit means it's 1 semester. Full credit means it's both semesters. The grade levels of which students who would be in that course, and any prerequisite. A prerequisite is a predetermined set of criteria that has been determined to help you be successful. So you wouldn't take Spanish 4 without taking Spanish 1, 2, and 3. That makes sense, right? Well, we get that in Spanish 4, but a lot of the other classes have other classes that build upon those and to make you more successful. So in Intro to Business, for example, there is no prerequisite, and then below that has the course description. Let me show you another class down here that does have a prerequisite. So 21st Century Journalism and Broadcasting, that's the class that produces Raider Weekly. So it does have a prerequisite of 70% or higher in the previous semester's English course. So if you're not meeting that threshold, you don't meet that prerequisite, then you would not be allowed to take that class. So as you look through the courses, that would kind of help you determine, okay, where do I want to be in 4 years? What classes do I need to start taking? How do I need to perform in my class? And what do I need to do? So for example, I'm going to turn in the booklet to page 31. Pages 31 and 32 in your handbook include a flow chart for the math. So the math department has went through and created this to where it would help you see, okay, what class did I take in 8th grade? What are my options to take for the next year? Now those are determined on progress, on grades, it could be on ACT scores, could be on attendance, could be on teacher recommendation. These are not the only things that could be. There could be some flexibility, but as a general rule, those are that's the progression that you go through. Just as I was saying earlier, you wouldn't expect to take Spanish 4 without taking Spanish 1, 2, 3. Same thing with math. If you want to take college algebra your senior year, work backwards and see what you need to do, how you need to be on track. Continue to look forward. One of the things that you need to be aware of are your science classes. So you do need to have 3 science courses in order to graduate from Frontenac High School. You need to have chemistry and physics if you are wanting to complete the Kansas Scholars Curriculum. So as we look, we can see of prerequisites that would be entailed. So to go on to Biology 2, you would need to have a 70% or higher in Biology 1 as a freshman. In order to complete chemistry, because chemistry is a lot of equations and math heavy, you need to have a 70% or higher in Algebra 1. So even though it may not be in the same subject area, they still rely heavily on each other. So you really need to be focused on what you need to take this year and what you need to take overall to continue with your career path. Okay, so that is a little bit on the enrollment handbook. By no means, that was a short and sweet version. So by no means is that fully everything. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Now, the next thing that we are going to work on is your pre-enrollment. And you might be asking, what classes can I take? What do I need to take? That sort of thing. So I'm going to share this out with you. And the first thing that I think you should do is make a copy. All right. So as you make a copy of that, you're going to include this. This will also include conversations. You'll have conversations with your parents. With your parents in regards to what classes are going to be best, where you think you need to go. Also rely on your 8th grade advisory teachers, and they are familiar with this process and will help you out. So I've made a copy of this. I'm going down to freshman. Going to go ahead and put my name here. And you have quite a few classes that are required, okay? So you have English 1. You have biology. Math, you get into a little bit tricky situation. So if, depending on what math class you were in, depends on your grades and your performance and those sort of things, will determine which math class that you have been recommended for. So on here, if you're in basic algebra or algebra 2, those meet just once. So that's a 1B or a 3W, whatever that would be. If you're in algebra 1, that meets every single day. So rather than 8 classes, you will have 7, because your next one would be Algebra 1 on one day and Algebra 1 on the second day. One of those would count as a math credit, and the other Algebra 1 class would count as an elective credit. So remember what I said before, no classes are lost and they all fit into one of those 28 credits. So that's how Algebra 1 would work. Everyone will take PE and health. Everyone should, at this point, we should have everything good to take world history. And then fine art. Fine art is you have to have 1 credit of fine art in order to graduate. So you can go ahead and take it now. You can wait, however that would be. So those are the required classes. Down here is a kind of a worksheet of all of the 28 classes. The 28 credits that you would need to earn and how those are broken up. So what you could do on your copy is go ahead and complete this. So if you're going to take Algebra 2, then Geometry, then Advanced Algebra, if you're going to take Biology 1, Earth Science, Chemistry, however that would be, this is a working document. You can go ahead and use that And as you can see, it's going to be the same on all of the grade levels. So you have that where you will be used to it and know what it looks like. Now, you know that it looks a little bit different on here than it does on printed out as well. Over here, I have the KBOR requirements. So that's a quick glance and a quick reference to, as well as the Kansas Scholars curriculum. So those classes that you must have as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on what classes I want. Now, there are 51, 52 pages in here. That's kind of overwhelming. So what I've done is I have went through and made an elective list, and this will be shared with you as well. So you can see what classes as a freshman you would be able to go into. So you want to start with the end in mind and work backwards. So if you are wanting to go into a C-Tech welding program, okay, what's going to be most helpful for that? So the foundations class, residential carpentry, however that may be. So this, from here, you will decide what you want to do. So I've taken a look at this and I have decided what I want to do is I want to have Spanish, art, and foundations. Okay, so if I look back at my copy, I could go here and I am going to quite literally just type in there Spanish, Art 1, Foundations, and you have to take one semester with Mr. Aiken and one semester with Mr. Goody. So if I had my English, my biology, I took Algebra 1 this year as an 8th grader, so I'm going to be taking Algebra 2 next year as a freshman. Oh, that did not work the way I had planned. Let's just do this. There we go. PE and health, world history, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have my 8 classes. Well, maybe, because you may have to have a couple of alternates because some of those classes may be full. So what I want you to do is I want you to have your 8 classes. Now remember, if you're taking Algebra 1, you're only going to have 7 because that Algebra 1 meets every day, okay? So then I want you to go back and choose 2 more that if you were in, you wouldn't hate, all right? So if I was in consumer ed, I like that. I like that stuff. And if I was in weights, I wouldn't be upset. I am not, myself, I am not band or vocal, even though I think that I am. That's not really where I should be. So I'm going to go ahead and write down consumer ed and weights as well. And let me get back to it. So I'm going to just write that down here. And then here, my other one. So I have this, I have my ideas, I've talked to my parents, we're on the same track. Where do I want to be now? Where do I want to be in 4 years? Those sort of options, and we have had those discussions. So your next section is going to be going into PowerSchool. And after you log into PowerSchool, hold on. After you log into PowerSchool, then you will have over on the left, you click on the button that says class registration. Now mine is a fake account, so it's going to be just a little bit different than yours, and that's okay. But as you can see, all of the classes that are required are already put in. What you do need to click on is your math. And I don't have Algebra 2. Let me fix that. By the time you get it, you'll have an option for Algebra 2. So you click on your math. Let's pretend that says Algebra 2, okay? Because that's what I wrote down and that's what I'm ready for. So these go right down everything that I already have. And then my electives, I chose Spanish and Art 1 and Foundations. So Foundations, I have to have one from Goody and one from Aiken. Notice those are both half a credit, so I need to click on both of them. These are in alphabetical order too, so I know that. Art and Spanish. Now I can go on to page 2 and find my Spanish. And okay there. And then this is where my elective alternates come into play. So if I can't get into Spanish, art, and foundations, these are classes that I would not be really upset about being into. So that would be the consumer ed and the weights class. So notice it says you may select 2 courses. I've selected my 2. Now, at the bottom of this, it'll say requires between 7 and 10 credits. So if you have 7 that you've selected or you've went over and had 10, that's fine. It just needs to be a number between 7 and 10. It can be 8.5, whatever. And some of that may be adjusted, but that happens more frequently junior, senior year on classes that are half a credit. So once you are done there, you have talked to your parents, everything looks how it is, you are pleased with the way everything is, you will have a submit button there. So I would like for you to start thinking about having those conversations, going through your materials and choosing your classes, working on your enrollment sheet, working on your Power Scheduler, your PowerSchool selector, and going through those. And my hope is to have everyone submitted by next Wednesday, April 22nd. So that way I can then work on classes and who goes where and how many courses and sections I need of everything. Please do not hesitate to email me. We can set up a Zoom, whatever you need to do for whatever questions that you may have regarding the enrollment process. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe, and reach out if you need anything. Thank you.